Khan. What's going on, everybody? Today is Thursday, and it's Stick to the Script, and we're doing a lesson tonight called Courageous Will. My name is Aman Allah. To my left,
Shahad Amath.
Yes, sir. And we're going to go into and talk about it. So, courageous will. Will. Did y'all know that y'all have the ability to formulate, think your own thoughts and basically do your own thing? That's a principle about our nature as people, human beings, and even more special as Israelites, Israelite mankind. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 26. The origin of this principle that we would like to call free will comes from none other than our maker and our creator, God, Yahweh. And this is what he had to say about it.
This is Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image.
So he said, let us make man in our image. A lot of people, a lot of us growing up think that image is something literal, like we are the literal, physical, exactly, physical reflection of the Most High God, who is a spirit, him like that. That's not true. This is more akin to our nature as created beings. Keep reading on with that.
Let us make man in our image after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air, and over...
My bad.
You good?
Thank you. He says, so let us make man in our image, and then he continues with saying like that, after our likeness. So again, that image is a similitude of the nature of us as mankind and created beings. And then in addition to, he said, let's give them dominion. So dominion means that you have authority. That means you have power over something. Are we getting the connections? Will, power. You can read on with that.
And over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
So again, this image of will and power the Most High gave to his creation, which is us and all of us that have descended from Adam, and even more so specifically, Israel having the most dominant power over even all other created human beings and such like that. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 15 and 11, just so we can keep expanding on our nature and how important and how special it actually is. And then later on in the lesson, explaining how, dangerous it could be as well. 15 and 11.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 15 and verse 11. For as much as he knew not his maker, and him that inspired into him an active soul, and breathed in a living spirit.
So the Most High made us active souls, and again, these living spirits. One of the things that you got to know about the Most High is the Most High can do whatever he likes, whenever he wants, and to anything how he wants to be. And in that, being the top of that, he's decided to create laws and ways for us in particular, but things in the earth and in the heavens, even with the animals, he's given them, because they're also created beings, specific ways to do things, because he said, that's how I want to do it. We, as created beings, and actually his favorite, we have that same likeness. We have the ability to, by technical speaking, choose to do whatever we choose fit as far as what we consider to be good or evil in our eyes. But the Most High God, he let it be known in Genesis, you must choose what I choose to be good and to be evil. Check. This mic is going in and out. I might just need just one more. So, thank you. Sorry about that. But yeah, so that's the importance of us being active souls and living souls that the Most High made us to be. Expanding a little bit more on that. Matter of fact, yeah. So let's go to Deuteronomy 8 and 17, verse 18. So being that we got to understand there's still a hierarchy that we got to understand as far as us as created beings and the Most High that created us. We're still subject, despite this will and this free will within us, to follow the will of something bigger and greater than us, which is the living God, Yahweh. And he's already instructed us to do that.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 17. And thou say in thine heart, my power and the might of mine hand have gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, and he may establish his covenant with which he sware unto thy fathers as it is this day.
So the Most High is making it clear in this instance, just reminding Israel, because again, at this point when Israel came on the scene, human beings have been on the earth, constantly, and they've been constantly doing what was against the will of the Most High in favor of what they as individuals and they as collectively wanted to do. So the Most High is reminding our forefathers, look, don't forget and try to think to yourself that, out of my own power, I got, and he's speaking to Israel, the land of Israel. I removed all the people and the evil and the wickedness and the Canaanites, and I brought all this wealth unto myself. The Most High is trying to make us remember, don't think that it was because of just you and your willpower. Yes, you have that, but remember, I'm the one that assisted you and really handed a lot of these things over to you. Don't forget that. And that's the important thing that comes with the responsibility of this likeness that the Most High has made us into. Let's get to the book of Genesis. I want to just touch on just the concept of this power that we really do have that's inspired. It's inspired so many stories from, fiction to real life, examples. But this is what it boils down to. Go to Genesis, I think it's in chapter 30, and we actually just talked about it yesterday concerning Jacob and the angel. Genesis, it was just before Esau. Genesis 32, yes, sir. And verse 24.
This is Genesis 32 and verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the elbow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him.
So the Most High sends a messenger, one of his messengers, basically an angel, and not just, an angel of a man, but a heavenly angel to go deal with Jacob just before, he was distraught and thought he was going to get killed by his brother Esau. The Most High sends him an angel that night, and they wrestle for hours. And in that wrestling and tussling of power struggle, Jacob eventually prevails. Read on.
Verse 26. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me.
So again, this started at probably sometime earlier in the evening, and this was going on all throughout, the next 12 hours. So this was enough for this angel to be like, all right, you basically have kept your match, but understanding that this was an angel of the Most High God. Eventually, he got the upper hand, but still gave credit to Jacob, saying like, yeah, you definitely were made in the image and the will of the Most High, because you have not given up. Your will is still prevailing to want to, conquer and prevail. But again, Jacob is just a man, and this is an angel of the Most High God. So he kind of just turns up the heat and dislocates his leg basically from his pelvis, his thigh. And then Jacob is still being like, you should bless me. Read on with that.
Verse 27, and he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed.
And that's the inheritance that we claim, because we're called Israelites. We're called Israel. And this is that defining factor. And this is one of the things that we got to notice about our nature and our character. And the reason why the Most High even tends to call us stiff-necked and hard-headed sometimes, because we are we're a forward people at times, and we always want to get our ideas and our way done, even if it takes, like in this instance, 12 hours at a time, 6 to 12 hours at a time. If it takes a week, if it takes a years, that's within our character and makeup and nature as a people to overcome our obstacles, to overcome enemies and people, even, to our detriment, to try to overcome the will of the Most High God. But in this instance, we see that you can't overcome the will of the Most High God. I'm going to still set you in your place. But acknowledging that, I'm going to still bless you. And that's what happened with the willpower of Jacob in this instance. So that's all that's all I wanted to talk about with this. With that being said, though, the difference between man's will and the Most High's will must be distinct and must be distinguished. And we read that in Deuteronomy. I want to get you guys this too. Go to Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 3. Yeah. Khan. That's what I'm going to define for you right now. So the brother on AV was just talking about, he had this conversation, and it'd be kind of confusing sometimes because we do have all this power and authority and will, but it's like we should be humble because like, okay, is this my will or is this the will of the Most High? And that's why I want to get into further as we go into this lesson.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you.
Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 3. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established.
Read verse 9.
A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directed his steps.
So this is the book of Proverbs. This is a book of wisdom. It's saying a man is going to be a man and do the things that he wants to do because we're the sons of the Most High God. We do what he does in the microcosm and in the little and the small. But at the end of the day, the Most High is directing us. He's directing us as we like to think that we're directing our own wills. So we should always, as what we just read in Deuteronomy, we should always remember our Maker and consider when we perform our wills if it's an acceptable will to the Most High God, Yahweh. Go to Proverbs 20 and 27, just again to glorify, this ability that we do have as living souls and living creatures.
This is Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 27. The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching all the inward parts of the belly.
The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord. That's basically, we're just saying that, again, we're extensions of the Most High God, Yahweh. We shouldn't be, as extensions, separate, which, again, at times, when your old will becomes, as the scriptures say, forward, that's when you separate yourself from God. And as a separation from God, think about it like this. If you have if there's a fire going on, and the general big blaze is going, that blaze is going to, last a little bit longer than the embers that kind of fall off and trail off on the side. Those embers, they burn up, but they will burn up much quicker rather than that ember being connected to the source of that big fire. That's like us. We need to stay in our will connected to the will of the Most High if we want to survive, if we want to keep living on. Otherwise, we're going to burn out like some of those small embers. Here's a beautiful scripture. Go to the book of Hebrews, chapter 4 and verse 12.
This is Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 12. For the word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of the soul and spirit.
So now that we are talking about this, we know what we're talking about when we talk about the dividing of the soul and the spirit. The soul is the will of man. The spirit is the will of the Most High God, Yahweh. Both of those are supposed to be connected, but that's why it's saying the will of the Most High is so sharp like a two-edged sword. It'll divide the two. Because again, sometimes if there's a Holy Spirit which comes from the Most High God, why do you think that we talk about other spirits, demonic spirits, other unrighteous spirits, unclean spirits? The Most High's word has the ability to divide that soul, that man and his will, from any other type of spirit that might be influencing him and directing him, if not just his own soul. So again, there's a difference between what we decide to do and what the Most High ultimately wants us to do. And we can still do things as long as we're still connected to that ultimate and greater and higher power and will. And you got to have some courage to do that, especially in these days that we're living in right now, where we were not taught about the true will of the Most High God Yahweh. We were mainly just taught, as this world and Satan would like to have it, to do you. Do your own thing, be you, go about your own business, and don't even consider what other people have to say, because God forbid another man that's equal to me is going to tell me how I'm going to live my life and do what I'm going to do, regardless if they're a prophet of the Most High God Yahweh, regardless if Yahweh is using that man to try to get to you. We don't consider, because ultimately, that type of will becomes known as pride, and forwardness. And that's a problem, and that's an issue when the Most High is doing all that he can do to try to bring you back to his flame, reconnect you to his eternal will. Yeah, you're not done? Read it up.
And of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart.
And again, that's the Most High's word. And we have his revealed word in the scriptures, in these histories that we have that our people have done, in the Proverbs, in the law, fundamentally in itself. That's where you find the Most High's will at, is in the law, and then everything adjacent to that, his judgments, and then the wisdom that comes from that, that's written in this book, and the wisdom that we articulate in the modern day. All that comes from what pleases him and what he considers to be good. Basically, we talked about Ecclesiastes 8:8. So understand this: as great and as amazing as this gift in this life that we've been given, because again, this will allows us to get up every morning and to handle our business. This will allows us to, as they say in the streets, go and chase the bag. Because you need money to, especially as Israelites, to go take care of your food, your household, your relaxation, whatnot, and have you. We have the ability to do that. And just read that scripture.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 8. There is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither hath he power in the day of death, and there is no discharge in that war, neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it.
So letting you know that despite all of that, amazing and blessingness and princes of power, we still have our limitations. That's what I wanted to say. We still have our limitations when it comes to this will and this burning fire that's within us. It said in Ecclesiastes, read the death part again.
Let's see. Neither have he power in the day of death.
The Most High is saying, you as mankind, and especially because of what happened with Adam, you don't have that type of power over death. Death is going to come to you all, and that's not including, Christ, but it's saying in general, especially for the other nations. But, Israel has been living through this for some time. We don't have the power to call the day when the Most High calls us. Some people, as far as suicide is concerned and stuff like that, some people are that arrogant and to go about doing that. But just consider when the Most High has a plan and a purpose for you, and for you to go and do that, you don't think that that irritates and frustrates the Most High? That's iniquity, to go about and to just take your own life doing that. What's going on, Yashawn?
It's crazy about that. Even going on my mother, she gets killed herself. I always had that question, like, was that the Most High's will? Was that her will? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I know He had the power to kill and to heal. You know what I'm saying? So he just kind of like, well, maybe we can talk about it after class.
For sure, for sure. We can for sure talk about it after class, but then hopefully even too, it'll be much simpler too as we keep going on too. But yeah, but that's a whole nother thing. Especially the main difference is too with that, brother. When you know about God and you still go about doing things, that's when you know you're kind of, again, you're forcefully separating yourself. Some people that don't have that knowledge, you know, the scriptures say that, you know, a man is going to, within the knowledge or the not knowledge of the law, a man is still going to be judged by that. So the Most High, maybe in whatever instances, He could orchestrate that to happen. But again, as far as dealing with Israel and Israelites and our belief and knowledge, whatever level that may be of God, that's just, you know, a forwardness and a prideful thing that you go about doing that. And again, that's an iniquity thing, because again, you can read that Ecclesiastes 8:8 again. Just read through.
There is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither hath he power in the day of death. And there is no discharge in that war, neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it.
Con. So the Most High letting you know that, look, if you're not abiding by what the Most High calls good and you're on the side of wickedness, you can't hope to have your will upon this earth have any type of lasting, because the Most High has a tendency to like to wash away iniquity and sins and stuff like that, so that His creation can still keep going on. The Most High can't deal with those blemishes in, and this is like a bird's eye view, He can't deal with those blemishes in His cycle of eternal life. He's going to remove those things. And that's exactly what we're expecting as far as the second coming of Christ. You know, He's doing the same thing that He did with Noah in the washing away of the earth with the water, but now He's just burning away those iniquities for the kingdom to come and the new earth for eternity for Israel, the other nations not having eternity, but just serving under us. That's what He's about to do, because again, the Most High cannot have these discrepancies in His system. You know, I'm not even gonna get into mechanics, but like, just think about how a machine and electricity, and you don't have the right wires connected and stuff like that. It don't work. You gotta fix and repair those things. Sometimes you gotta cut the wire and reconnect or reglue. That's exactly what the Most High is doing for this earth, and it's repurposing. So with that being said, we gotta have. We need to allow ourselves in the humility, and it might be kind of strange to think, but we need to use our will to sometimes get rid of our own willfulness, if that makes any sense. Ultimately, to give it to the Most High. Let's go to the book of... There's a good scripture that I want to show you guys with this too. Right here. Go to John chapter 7, verse 17 through 18. And this is Christ, Christ and we're told to, be like Christ and to follow Christ. And we get to see exactly how Christ utilized all of His will and what He decided to do with it.
This is John chapter 7 and verse 17. If any man will do His will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak of myself. He that speaketh of himself seeketh his own glory, but he that seeketh his glory that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him.
So again, Christ is making the distinction. You know, there's going to be a discernment and a dividing between what you want to do, your will, and the will of the Most High. And he's saying that whatever man that wants to follow and do the will of the Most High and his own will, that's what's going to be true and everlasting at the end of the day. Go to John 17 and verse 5 through 6. Again, Christ giving that example.
John 17, verse 5. And now, O Father, glorify thou me with thine own self, with the glory which I had with thee before the world was. I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word.
So again, Christ submitting his own will to the will of the Most High God Yahweh. One more example for him. Go to John chapter 10 and verse 17 through 18.
This is John 10 and verse 17. Therefore doeth my Father love me, because I lay down my life, that I might take it again. No man taketh it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This commandment have I received of my Father.
So you see that? All that talk of power and choices and ability, and ultimately Christ is saying, and this is the kicker and the between what Christians believe, again, Christ is separate as far as an entity from the Most High God Yahweh. Christ is not Yahweh. Christ was sent by him. And just as being sent by him, he had the ability, and that's why Satan tempted him on the mountain. He's like, look, just bow down and worship me, and I'll give you all this. And Christ is like saying, for one, this is already mine, and for two, thou shalt have no other God besides Yahweh. So Christ was already full submission and giving his will to the purpose and the will of the Most High God Yahweh. And all of his creation is supposed to operate and act like that. Even Satan, even the spirit of Satan, whatever that is, operates like that. He cannot go past the instructions and the will of the Most High God Yahweh. The only problem, the issue with that spirit is that he tries to get everything else under Yahweh to go against him. And that goes to show the battle that we're in with that. If the Most High allows his protection to be removed from us, and we become face to face with that evil spirit. So again, we want to be in good standing with the will of the Most High. If ultimately your goal is to want to live, if your goal is to have eternal life, to have peace, to have those fruits of the Spirit, and to live within your brethren and your family as such. Was there something you want to say? So with that being said, we have to, these things have to be reminded to us. We got to be encouraged about doing these things. Because sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget about the Most High, which is why, we wear these fringes to remember what it is that he likes and desires. Okay, look at my fringes. Let me go remember some of these laws. Let me get my mind right. That's what we got to do. We got to have that encouraging aspect too, to have the right type of will. Go to Deuteronomy 3 and 28.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 3 and verse 28. But charge Joshua and encourage him and strengthen him, for he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which thou shalt see.
So this was at this point in time, that was a commandment of the Most High God. The Most High had promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the land of Canaan will be yours in due time and due season. Joshua was the one that led the charge to go about doing it. But even Joshua himself, no different than us, we got to be encouraged by holy people of the Most High God Yahweh to keep walking in and doing what the Most High would like and to please, which is ultimately good for us. Because if you go, some of us, have that measure and manner of faith to where it's just locked in your head, locked in your mind, and according to your faith and devotion to the Most High, what to do. A lot of us, and even those too, still need to be encouraged. We still need to be encouraged to do those right things. So that's what happened here with Joshua. That's what we do here in True Nation. That's what Israelites across the world are supposed to be doing for each other. We're supposed to be, again, those words, admonishing and encouraging each other in each of our various situations about what it is, the will of the Most High. Because, again, that's what we're supposed to be giving our power to. We're supposed to be giving our power to the Most High so that he gives us that power back in return, which, again, is that long-term power which leads to eternity. We need to choose to do the Most High's will. Psalms 119 and verse 30, please.
This is Psalms 119 and verse 30. I have chosen the way of truth. Thy judgments have I laid before me.
Again, that choosing, that ability to choose. A lot of these words, if it's not directly talking about will and power and stuff like that, the spirit is in there. When you choose to do something, you're making it, you got an option and a choice. So in this psalm, it's saying, I'm choosing to do your truth, Yahweh. I'm not choosing to do my truth. I'm not choosing to do anybody else's truth, surrounding me. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing to give my will to you as you will reciprocate and give me everything that you blessed us with and said that you would bless us with in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 15. In due season, I have enough faith and patience to do that. Excuse us, we have motorcycles running through. But yeah, so choosing truth, choosing life. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 11. Your ability, your supreme ability.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 11. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it afar off. It is not in heaven that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it.
Khan. So again, I believe the brother asked earlier, that confusion that we have between, is this my own self-will or is this the will of the Most High God? Now again, the Most High is making it being known. It's not hard to find out. It's not so far away and so far removed that you can never understand my will, not my will, but the will of the Most High. It's very close to you and very near to you. And the more you actually read this book, which is a supreme blessing that we have, especially if you're literate and you have the right have the right person to teach it to you and tell it to you, that's where it is. That's how you can find out what the will of the Father is, what the will of the Most High is. And again, really, when you really know him and you really know his word and everything that you do in life, what's the right financial decision to make? Perfect example, big dilemma. A lot of our peoples, whether in the ghettos, in the hoods, or in the suburbs, a lot of our people, being cursed as they are, not even since the 1980s, they have turned to dealing drugs, They've turned to dealing drugs. That's a big way to make money. And let's be even more specific. A lot of people have turned to dealing like crack or cocaine or one of the two. So a lot of our people face that dilemma. I'm hungry. I got a family to feed. Nothing else is working out right now in life. I can't get a job at Bank of America. I can't get a job at Jamba Juice. This temp agency is not enough. what do I do? Oh, everyone else seems to be making a lot of this good money off of, selling the dope. But what does the word of the Most High God say? A lot of us actually might not even know that, but the scriptures call doing that type of line of work, and you can see it's clear as day. It calls that sorcery or pharmakia. And we're talking on one thing. If you're deciding to sell crack and sell cocaine, you're going against the will of the Most High, because that stuff is ruining the ghetto. That stuff is ruining the projects. That stuff is ruining the people that are buying that, our people in particular, that may live out of the city in the suburbs. I just ran into one of my brother's friends, really, but he knows me. I ran into him the other day because I'm back at my parents' house. And I remember years back, it was very apparent that he was struggling, with some drug addiction. And I seen him again today, really stuck in the same way that I remember seeing him a couple years back and such like that. And, the very first thing he strikes up conversation is, hey, what's up, smoke, and not even just, smoking weed, but it was clearly, I can tell when a person's doing meth and such like that. Some of the signs are pretty obvious. But again, he's getting that living in, the area that he's living in, and that's made him stuck, and he's not growing as a person. He hasn't grown as a person. He's still in the same spot, in the same area, and not taking care of his business as, I'm pretty sure he's not too much older than me. He's for sure in his 30s, but he has not gotten his stuff together. And that's, again, because of, his choices and the addictions that he has. So again, bringing this back full circle, just talking about that, this law and your ability to will yourself to do the right things of the law, it's not far away from you. It'll tell you what's the right decision to make. And I guess long story short with that, selling drugs is not the way you want to be having money, because again, you're abusing and you're destroying your community and your people surrounding you. So that's not the right way to figure out how to get money. But guess what you do have? You have, for one, you have the laws of the Most High to give you knowledge and understanding of what to do, and you have that innate aspect about you where you were made in the Most High God's image and will to figure it out. There's ways around to figure out what you need to do as far as making money is concerned, There's options that are out there. You just got to be willing to struggle, no different than Jacob struggled all that night wrestling that angel. You got to be willing to struggle and not give up, and to figure out the solution that still walks in righteousness, no matter how long that takes. And again, imagine wrestling, if not a person, a divine being, all night. All night is, again, 8 to 12 hours. That's a long time to be like, I'm not giving up. I'm not going to give up. I'm strong in the spirit. That's in our people. Unfortunately, though, you have Satan that has likened to give us the easy way out and stuff. And we're telling you, don't take the easy way out. Be that struggler, struggle through what you need to go through in order to stay in good standing with the Most High. Because again, not my will, but your will, as Christ said. Let me see. Go to Joshua chapter 1 and verse 8 through 9. Again, encouraging you how to direct this ability that you have.
This is Joshua chapter 1 and verse 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and for a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest.
So long as you do what he said, which is the very first line. He said, look, this book of the law should not depart out of thy mouth as far as teaching and out of your mind. As long as you are maintaining that integrity about yourself towards the Most High, he said, look, I'm going to get you through whatever problem and whatever issue that you yourself might have some difficulty, trying to overcome. I mean, look at our examples in our history. Look at David and Goliath. Little kid or little, teenager, probably about to be 20, no armor, slingshot. He fought the giant Goliath, a supreme warrior of the Philistines. Look what happened with David and, his faithfulness and belief in the Most High God, his strength. That's a perfect example. Joshua himself and Caleb and their ability to spy out the land, despite seeing, again, those other giants there, and to still give a good report to the people, like, we got this. On top of actually having to go to war with these giants as well, too, and kill them from the land of Canaan later on, that we read in the book of Joshua, and others as well, too. Considering all that, and maybe that's a little far-fetching sounding to our people today, but if it's not direct war like that, you got things in your life that are seemingly difficult to overcome. And unfortunately, again, a lot of our people, we either succumb to that fire burning out, which is where you see a lot of, the homelessness in Los Angeles. A lot of those people, at some point in their life, they decided to let their will burn out, and they don't have any anymore, and they're just caught up in the stream of the river, caught up in the flow of the ocean of wickedness, on these streets. Their fire has burnt out. And again, if it's not that, the Most High said, your flame is a dark flame, and you're given to the wickedness of that dog-eat-dog mentality in this world, which is part of the example I brought up, as an example about drug dealing earlier. Again, you can't fall in either way. You can't give that fire to the enemy, Satan, and you can't also let your fire burn out to what you see on the streets, or even like suicide earlier. You got to keep that flame and ember burning. And what better way, not even better, what only way to do that than by staying plugged in and connected with your maker, which is Yahweh, Israel. Especially when he said, I'm going to be a God unto you. How special is that? The Most High is barely, fueling the other nations out there. That's what he means when it says, the other nations, they're a drop in the bucket. You're the whole pail. Again, they get that associated, living and stuff like that. The Most High still created them. But again, the Most High said, I'm going to be your specific power. Stay connected to me. Just keep my laws, my words, and what I consider good, and eschew yourself from evil. Go to Sirach 35 and verse 3. Sirach 35 and verse 3. Keep away from evil.
This is Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 35 and verse 3. To depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord.
And to depart from wickedness is an act of your will. You have the choice in the matter and the ability to manifest that within yourself, to depart, to walk away. Not just accept, but you have the ability to run away. Read on.
And to forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation. Thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord, for all these things are to be done because of the commandment.
That's it. Yeah, Sirach 35 and verse 3. So yeah, man, so that's all part of it. Again, knowing these laws, the 10 Commandments, such like that. And I know I feel like we as a nation, maybe just True Nation, we as a congregation, we could do a lot better with even just having lessons on what these laws are, how they're relevant to us, in the modern day, so that you guys know for sure, how we can apply what was understood back then to what we're experiencing to this day. Definitely, teaching on that. But again, this is just a general understanding of this law that you should be studying and quietness on your own. You should be applying to please the Most High so that He makes you prosperous and better. Because again, you have that ability. It's inside of you. That's what your soul makeup is to perform. To perform, period. But then you get that extra wisdom. Perform the will of the Most High God. A lot of our people like to watch a specific genre of cartoons called anime, and I feel like the reason behind that is because a lot of the general principles between different anime TV shows, whether you watch like Naruto or Dragon Ball Z or some of the old school ones, they actually, without telling you, they instill that principle of will and willpower. And I feel like a lot of our people like that because they gravitate to that. It's true, and it's their spirit bearing witness to, their character and their nature being Israel. You see a lot of so-called Southern Kingdom blacks, within LA, across America. You see a lot of in Mexico at the anime conventions, stuff like that. They're all into that, because again, it's something that you're seeing in those images and those pictures and those scripts that we mess with. It's like we know that that's within us, that will. But again, now it's about directing that towards the correctness and the will of the Father, the will of the Most High God, Yahweh. Let's go to James chapter 1, verse 22 through 25. What it is we need to be doing.
James 1
and 22.
This is James chapter 1 and verse 22. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves.
So again, being doers of that word, you gotta move. You gotta move yourself in the word that you're hearing and understanding, and make sure that you keep putting yourself in the space to know what that word is. Because a lot of the times, if you're confused about what it is that you're supposed to be utilizing your will for, you probably just don't have enough of that immersion in what the will of the Father is. Because He's basically gonna, He already said to let you know it's not far away from you. Just be within it, and be around the people that are within it, and follow that. You can read on.
This is verse 23. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetting what manner of man he was. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed.
Man, and that's just a big old parable about just what I said earlier. Imagine you a flame, and you separate yourself from the major big flame, and you just burn out. That's the aspect of looking in that mirror and forgetting who you are. That's that aspect of forgetting about what is written in Genesis 1 and 26. We're made in the image of the Most High God Yahweh, which means that we got to stay connected to Him. We can't sever and separate. Again, we're ultimately extensions of Yahweh and His will. It's just crazy enough, you do have the ability to choose to sever yourself if you choose. But again, that choice its consequence. There's no other way to call it. That choice does have its consequence. You will burn out and burn up and be consumed, and not burn anymore. We're talking about our will in eternity. You won't exist. You eventually. That's where death comes in, and that's what the Most High God warned us in the beginning. Look, if you go about doing this and this, you can't handle this. You're not me. You don't form the light and the dark. Your will is limited. You will die if you disobey me, which is separating yourself from me. You'll die. So again, we got to make sure that we stay as close as we can to the source, the power, as we can. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 8. We're going to just read through this and explain.
From the top?
Yes, sir.
This is 2 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 1. Moreover, brethren, we do you to wit of the grace of God bestowed on the churches of Macedonia, how that in a great trial of affliction, the abundance of their joy and their deep poverty abounded unto the riches of their liberty.
It's basically saying, it's not easy. It's not easy in this world with death within it to choose the will of the Most High God, because a lot of that, a lot of struggle and poverty comes along with that. It's not, this isn't the Garden of Eden anymore, where everything was simple and everything was basically given to us because we were in a state to where we were doing what we needed to do. But now, in this world, which has progressively gotten worse, darker, and more under the influence of the enemy and that spirit, Satan, choosing to be light in a world full of darkness, it's not received well. So that's what we're talking about in the struggle of the churches right here. But read on, verse 3.
For to their power I bear record, yea, and beyond their power they were willing of themselves.
Regardless of that, us, the churches in past time in Corinthians, they were willing of their own selves to choose to follow what was laid in the foundation for Christ anyway. Because again, a lot of times our people like to choose the easy way out. The entertainment and the music industry is a perfect example of that. And I pray that a lot of our people can repent and see the light and come out of that. But again, that's one of the huge traps for Black and Latino and Native American peoples, is that industry. Read on.
Verse 4, praying us with much entreaty that we would receive the gift and take upon us the fellowship of the ministering to the saints. Mm-hmm. And this they did, not as we hoped, but first gave their own selves to the Lord, and unto us by the will of God.
So again, talking about that choice, it says that they gave themselves to the will of the Lord and of the church that was performing the will of the Lord. It's your decision. It's your decision to utilize that special gift that's within you to serve the right spirit, and not to serve just yourself either. Let's jump down to verse 10.
And herein I give my advice, for this is expedient for you, who have begun before, not only to do, but also to be forward a year ago. Now therefore perform the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to will, so there may be a performance also out of that which ye have.
Read on.
For if there be first a willing mind, it is acceptable or according to that a man hath, and hath not, and not according to that he hath not. For I mean not that other men be eased and ye burdened, but by an equality, that now at this time your abundance may be a supply for their want, and that their abundance also may be a supply for your want, that there may be equality.
So, obviously, this is a letter directed to the Corinthians at that time, and that was about the actions that they should take willingly in order to solve the problem that they were in. Obviously, we have our own problems, but the scripture still speaks true. When you know the solution to do is right, and you have somebody, a leader or such, that's directing you in the way to go, and it's just a wise decision, you should be willing and readiness in mind to follow that in order to have your best outcome in mind as far as your preservation of your soul and your candle within you is concerned. You should be willing to give yourselves to those things, because ultimately, again, in the scripture it says that the Most High, He puts the leadership and the authorities there, and those that want to resist that authority and that leadership, they're ultimately resisting the will of the Father, and that's not smart. It's not wise. That's another form of your ember just moved over there. You're not part of the forest fire anymore. You're gonna burn out faster than the main fire. You got to understand and see that. Let's see. I think I'm going to leave it off with y'all with this one. Go to Sirach chapter 4, verse 26, and then verse 28.
This is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 4 and verse 26. Be not ashamed to confess thy sins, and force not the course of the river. Make not thyself an underling to the foolish man, neither accept the person of the mighty. Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee.
So don't force the course of the river. That's talking about the will of the Most High. Don't try to think that you can tweak the will of the Most High. Don't think that you can jump out of the river of the Most High. They're saying go with that. And then read 28 again.
Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee.
And strive for the truth unto death. Strive is another action word. That's a verb. Anytime that we're dealing, grammar lesson, anytime we're dealing in verbs, we're dealing with the different facets of the will of man as Israelites that we can do. So it says strive for the truth. Strive for understanding Yahweh. Start with his laws, statutes, and his commandments. Build from there. Learn about his prophecies. Learn about, that's really it. Learn about his laws. Learn about his prophecies. Learn about the other men and times that come to pass that gave you wisdom for knowing his prophecies and his laws. That's why we have the book of Proverbs. That's why we have Wisdom of Solomon. That's why we have Ecclesiastes and Sirach. That's wisdom for day-to-day life left behind by people who wholeheartedly strove for the truth in God's laws, statutes, and commandments, that knew his prophecies as far as everything is the curses that we may go to, the blessings that we get for doing the right thing, and even to knowing the return of Christ. Knowing those things, these men left us the wisdom and the collective book that we like to call the Bible. But again, it all boils down to, again, is be encouraged to give your God-given abilities back to God, back to him, Yahweh, which is, again, keeping his laws. Close it off with this. Deuteronomy 6, verse 7 through 8. And this is what we're doing. And this is what the will of the Most High is about, as far as why we be on these desks anyway, to speak these things.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou riseth up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. And it shall be, when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities, which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things, which thou fillest not, and wells digged, and thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees, which thou plantest not. When thou shalt have eaten and be full, then beware lest thou forget the Lord, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. Ye shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you. For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from the face of the earth.
That's good right there. So again, y'all, the courageous will, the courageous thing to do is to give yourself willingly to the will of the Father. And you learn that by reading this. Is there anything you wanted to say?
Nope.
Con.
Excellent lesson.
All right, man. Well, with that, y'all, we're going to leave you with that and the rest of your night. Keep striving the good fight. We all are. And hope for the best and move in that hope for the best as well. Good night.
Shalom.